to the southeast, always been on the front line when it comes to refugees arriving in Britain. But now the system of processing asylum claims has been labelled cruel by the charity Kent Refugee Action Network. They say the Home Office is automatically turning down asylum claims from Afghans looking to live here, pushing them into the black market economy to find jobs and homes. Briohny Williams has more.
Migrants trying to enter the UK by vehicle or boat have become familiar scenes around Kent over the past few years. From March 2017 to March 2018, just over 14,000 people were granted asylum in the UK. It can be a lengthy and expensive process. Kent Refugee Action Network supports people going through the system, which the charity thinks is flawed.
With a lot of asylum seekers, because obviously geographically this is where people who've arrived in the country by unorthodox methods tend to end up. I think people need to be on an even playing field, and I feel like people from Afghanistan are not on an even playing field.
Why?
Because it feels to me like claims are automatically turned down, and then when they appeal, many of them are overturned and they get asylum status. Now that to me, it's a shocking waste of money, but B, it's extremely cruel for the people involved. Their life goes on hold, and often they have to rely on the charity of others. They lose access to the public purse, which means that they're not allowed to work, they're not allowed to be in education. So they're very much pushed towards the black market, towards being exploited. And it puts very vulnerable people in an even more precarious position.
BASHIR AHMADZAI came to Kent from Afghanistan 6 years ago when he was just a child. He says his father had been murdered by the Taliban. He faces deportation and is about to make a fresh asylum claim because he's had a previous claim turned down. He's one of many who use the charity. So you came through Iran, up to Turkey. BASHIR tells me it took him a year to reach the UK. His friend Khalil Niazi is helping interpret for me as BASHIR has communication difficulties. He was beaten so badly by Greek police, his hearing deteriorated. BASHIR tells me he came to Kent from Calais in the back of a lorry.
He says I really find it hard because I've been not eating from 6 days, been walking 12 hours, and it was really hard for me to come because I wasn't feeling well as well. So, to going through all these things.
And now BASHIR desperately wants to stay in Kent.
He says, I'm really feeling safe, happy in here. I can't go back in Afghanistan because in my village has been fighting going on, and also I can find to eat something in this country, but I can't do that in back home because it's really fighting, everything going on.
Some asylum seekers have to prove their nationality in order to stay in the country, but other nationalities have to provide more evidence. I asked to speak to a minister from the Home Office, but I was told that no one was available for interview. Instead, they sent me a statement which says the UK has a proud history of granting asylum to those that need protection, and all asylum seeker claims are considered on their individual merit and adhere to immigration rules. But some critics believe those from Afghanistan are being treated unfairly.
The Home Office are determined to find holes in asylum seekers' accounts. That will mean that they are able to say that they're not credible, effectively that they're lying. And then if they say that they're lying, they're not in need of international protection. But the Home Office decisions, as can be identified by any practitioner, contain significant logical and factual holes that are used to try and make this finding that the asylum seeker is not credible. So the Home Office may argue that certain parts of Afghanistan, particularly Kabul, is safe to return to. But we say that that's not backed up by what's actually happening on the ground in Kabul and what our clients are actually telling us.
On the government website for UK citizens, the Foreign Office advises against travel to a large number of districts in Afghanistan, and it states terrorist attacks are very likely, which is why BASHIR left his home and doesn't want to go back.